And we're live. Greetings and salutations, pipe pals and gals, all across America. Holy Smokin' Pipe Padre coming back at you with another pipe video and rant. So, let's see. I hope I'm doing pretty good here. It is Thursday, April the 7th. And I'm smoking my good old companion Joby here with some Northwoods, which was a gift from Matt. Thank you again, Matt. And at my elbow, I also have a little bit of some tea. I don't know exactly. It's called Dragon Passion Fruit or something like that. So I guess there's some dragons in there. And I got it in my wolf cup. Don't have dragons, but I have a wolf cup, so we'll have to make do with wolves instead of dragons. Okay. So here it is, the 7th. It's the 7th of April already? Boy, that's hard to believe. Oh, man. It just seems just like, almost like yesterday that it was the 1st. And it was the 1st. Yes, it was. So, just been really, maybe that's it. Hold on a second here. All right. That's probably it. I have been absolutely. Let's see if I can straighten this out just a tad. That's good. I have been. Some of you may remember a couple of, this goes back many years, and I brought it out from time to time. My red jacket. You might remember my red smoking jacket. And I got that jacket because sometimes these little pipes that we love so much, they spew, hot cinders, and they burn holes in nice shirts. Now, I wear clerical shirts. I think most people know this is a clerical shirt. Just real quick so people know that, it is a priest shirt. Hold on a second. There we go. So this is the clerical shirt that I wear. It's called a Panama clerical shirt, priest shirt. And I discovered these about 10 years ago. And I kind of fell in love with them. I've worn, regular Catholic priest clothes and clericals, and cassocks, traditional cassocks, and the whole kind of range of clerical garb that priests wear from time to time. But because I kind of I consider myself, now some people might choose to differ or beg or argue the point, but I'm a worker kind of a guy. I do a lot of stuff that maybe a lot of normal priests don't do. And that is things like I change light bulbs. I, work, getting down on my hands and knees and getting dirty, cleaning things. And one of the things that I need to have is I need to have a working shirt that has pockets, lots of pockets. So I can put my phone, my glasses. Who knows? Maybe someday I might take up to smoking my pipe every day. I don't know. Once you get to a certain age, you kind of say to heck with it. I don't care what people think or what people, what their opinions are. But, it's nice to have pockets to put tools in and things that you use, and all sorts of things. So let's see. Do I still got that? Yeah. I got some receipts here when I had to go down again to the valley in Sacramento. So I had to get, getting gas is, I just don't like having to do that. So starting last week on the 1st, I had, unfortunately, sad to say, I had a a funeral that I had to do back in my old stomping grounds of Chico, and so that was a nice drive. And I enjoy. I like taking long drives when I can afford to do so. Time wise and money wise. That's not bad. That's not bad. That dragon passion fruit in a pipe. That's not bad. And so I've just been gone and just absolutely busy for the last 7 days. It's just been nonstop. And I guess tonight and yesterday even was kind of one of those days where I had to go down and get my beloved Mighty Mac Pro, my very first Mac Pro that I got, 12 years ago. 13 years ago now, maybe 14. And there's a guy in California, and he is truly a guy that really knows how to work on Macintosh computers. Now, there are people that service, quote unquote, will service your computer if you need an upgrade, or maybe you have a bad drive that's going out or something. They can replace that and maybe do a data rescue and that kind of a thing. But for the most part, this guy named Casey, he's pretty rare. And my Mighty Mac Pro that I've had for a long, long time, and I've loved this machine. Now, I'm gonna get into a little bit of Apple talking. So if some of you don't like Apple and you're here for the just pipes and tobacco, that's fine. That's okay. It's a free country. But nope. But spewing the ashes. Let me get back to my original thing when I was talking about the red jacket. So I got this red smoking jacket that I thought, well, it'll look cool, and I won't ruin my shirts, because every time I make a video for y'all, pipe video, the next day or the following days after I make the video, I find these little holes in my shirts, even my t-shirts, because the cinders, sometimes they just spew all over you, and that's the way it is. So, like I said, I have working shirts, and these working shirts they're pretty durable. They're not like tanks. They're not like really super military grade, but they get the job done. And again, if I'm carrying glasses and phone and all sorts of things, I just need pockets. I'm a guy who needs pockets. And so these Panama shirts were kind of that kind of a thing, because I would find myself needing something and I reach into a pocket and there it is. Okay. So, but I was burning up a lot of shirts, and this one is no exception. Also, you got to be careful with bleach. When you're putting a little bit of bleach in the little commode, when it gets a little fouled there and you need to clean it out. Unfortunately, you're going to get splashes, even imperceptibly. You're going to get a little drip or splash, and that ruins, clothing too, raw bleach. So, so between my pipe cinders and my bleach and other cleaning things that I do, I need a good work shirt. And but this happens to be a priest clerical work shirt. So some people look at it a little funny and they go, "Well, that's kind of an interesting shirt." And but basically it works for me. So but speaking about working, and again, this going back to this, I went down yesterday to Sacramento to Core Care, and this guy Casey, who worked on my Mac Pro about 7 years ago, did a good job. He refurbished it, and he did a good job, and he did an excellent job, and restored it. And so anyway, when I was up in Chico the last 5 years, now it's almost going on almost 3 years now since I've been there. So it's been about 8 years. I took it to a guy in Chico who claimed to be an Apple service dealer. And basically, when I told him I was having all these, problems, he just said, "Well, I don't do that level of service. I can change out a hard drive. I can upgrade your RAM memory," and I feel like I can do that. No, I said, you need to troubleshoot this because I've got some real problems and I don't know if I need a new logic board, if I need a new video card, if I need, but I need somebody that knows what they're doing. And he just kind of looked at me and says, well, mister, that's the best I can do for you. And I went, okay. So it just sat in my other room there in Chico for 5 years. And then I moved up here. And it kind of sat on the floor for a couple of years. And then about last year, I pulled it up and started putting it back together again. And I noticed the problems were just as bad, if not worse. And so finally, I found out that this guy has a new shop a little bit closer to where I live, not super close to where I live. I wish he had a place up here at the lake. That would be awesome. But anyway, he opened up a new shop. So I said, hey, now that you're a little bit closer, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back down again. He said, please do. And so he worked on it and he got it back and running again. So anyway, so that was my Apple excursion. But the thing was that starting last Friday, I did a lot of driving. And then Saturday and Sunday was, getting ready for the weekend mass. That takes a lot of time and effort. Monday, what did I do Monday? There was a lot of stuff I did on Monday. We're doing a lot of refurbishing with the sound system in our church, which I think turned out really, really well. But I was waiting for all these components to come. And I was sitting on pins and needles because we were really running out of time. This young guy who is a sound guy came and did a really great job. But at the time, his time is very limited. He can only give me so many hours a day. And it was a big job. He was replacing all the speakers in the church. And that required him to have to get up into the belfry. We actually have this kind of a belfry thing. And yes, there were bats in the belfry. If those of you who are wondering, yes, there were bats in the belfry. But anyway, so I was waiting for the last 2 days for these components to come in. So I'm kind of like sitting on pins and needles because it's important that he gets all of the microphones and speakers and all the equipment that he needs to do the job. And so now I'm waiting on FedEx for the next round of shipment of stuff to come in. And they said, oh, it'll be here on Monday. And they never came. Then it'll be here on Tuesday. I don't think they came on Tuesday either. And then finally on Wednesday, when the guy showed up, he goes, well, are all the parts here? And I said, well, I think they are. I said, we're still waiting on one more microphone. It should be here today according to the delivery schedule. And he goes, well, okay, I'll get to work. So anyway, so it was just, all this waiting and all this driving and all of this being really focused on just getting these projects done before Palm Sunday and Easter. So, and then, going out to do this funeral on Friday last week. And then, so finally I got a phone call yesterday. Today is Thursday. Got a phone call yesterday that the computer was ready. And I was really excited about that. So I thought, well, it's late in the afternoon, but I'm gonna head on down there. And I got it and got back just in time because I get another urgent email saying, hey, you got to hear confessions tonight for the confirmandi. And I went, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. But I got here just in time and I didn't miss a beat. So it's just been one thing after the other. So the other day I was sitting there and I was really feeling just tired, just fatigued, weary. And I think that it has to do with so many other things. I mean, you're trying to live your life and you're trying to move forward, and sometimes you're successful in doing that. That's always a nice thing when things work out. But a lot of times it seems like I'm waiting for somebody, or somebody's waiting for me. I had a young guy who was trying to also had a little bathroom remodel, such as it is. So he was waiting on me and saying, hey, where are you at? And I said, I'm on my way. And coming back up, I had to go down and sign some papers today for the bishop. And he kind of made it clear that he wanted this done today, not tomorrow, not next week, now. And that's a 3-hour drive one way. It's like, okay, I'm on my way, bishop, So it was just, okay, here we go. So to be honest, I know this is Lent and we're getting into the last few days of Lent. This will be Palm Sunday. We start Passion week or Holy Week. This is technically in the old calendar. This was Passion Week, and then next week is Holy Week. There is a difference. So anyway, one of the things that I do give up at Lent time is coffee, and although all the headaches that go with going through coffee withdrawals, caffeine withdrawals, have been over for weeks, there's a time. Some of you who are coffee people will know this. There are times when that cup of coffee in the afternoon can be a lifesaver. I mean, it really can it can brighten your mood a little bit. You might be feeling kind of like you're dragging a little bit. You're feeling a little depressed, maybe a little sad, a little over melancholied or whatever. And then all of a sudden you get that cup of coffee in the afternoon, and okay, you get a chance to get a little bit of a regroup, right? And you get a little second wind, and you can keep going forward. And I think the thing with, and I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos not too long ago. See those ashes? Man, they're everywhere. It must be the season for ashes. I don't know. That's Lent. Ash Wednesday. Got it. Okay. Yeah, ashes, yeah. But I think one of the other things that seems to be coming very clear is that a level of stress and anxiety that everybody seems to be under these days. Now, the last few years, it's just gone from one crisis to another crisis. And I know I shared this in one of my videos not too long ago. About 7 years ago, when I was in Chico for my first year, the first year was okay, but it was stressful because it was my first time being a full-time pastor. And that had a lot of learning to do. And it was not easy. There was a lot of stress involved in that, obviously. But then the next year, when things kind of seemed to calm down a little bit, I was kind of finding my water there and kind of saying, okay, all right, I think I can do this job. Then the dam in Orville is overflowing and it almost breaks. Have a nice day. And that caused an awful lot of panic. Thousands of people were evacuating Vacaville. So fortunately, the dam did not break, but it came pretty darn close. So we got over that catastrophe, and then about a year later after that, we had the horrible, was in November of all times, and you would think November would be, you'd be beyond fire season, but no, not in Northern California. And November 8th or November 9th, the Paradise Fire touched off, and again, another crisis. That one really was awesome. I mean, horrible. It was amazing. It was enormous in its aftermath of all those people literally fleeing for their lives, and frankly, I think 84 people did lose their lives in that fire. Why? Because they couldn't depend upon the news media, because the people were saying, "Hey, you need to evacuate." And unfortunately, a lot of those elderly people, some of them didn't even know. Now, some of them were still asleep in bed. It was early in the morning when it broke out. So some of them had no clue what was happening. But there were a lot of people who heard it on the news and said, "Oh, it's going to be fine. It'll be fine. It's not going to be a problem." And because they kind of feel like, well, the news, they always overblow things. They always make it 10 times worse than what it really is. And so unfortunately, a lot of people didn't heed the warning that time when the news was finally being objective and truthful. And unfortunately, they perished because they thought, well, you can't really rely on the media because they're gonna spin something and make it far worse than what it really is. And the fire department will be along and they'll help put it out and we'll be fine. Well, they weren't fine. So after that calamity, then I moved up here. And that in and of itself, even though I don't mind moving, moving stressful, leaving one home and coming to a brand new place and new people, and it's all new. So I kind of get settled in, and then after that first summer, then all of a sudden COVID breaks out. It's like, what the heck is this? And then, for 2 years we've had nothing but COVID and Delta and Omicron and Deltacron and whatever else the newest variant is, More stress, more fear, more anxiety, more depression. And then up here we have, just like any place living in a forest, you're going to have wildfires. And we also had our share of wildfires last summer. And that was stressful because we were being told that people were evacuating 13 miles down the road in Tahoma. And I'm going, what? But the fire hadn't even reached South Shore yet. That's another 30 miles away. What's happening? How did it get up here so fast? And so again, inaccurate reporting leads to more stress and confusion and frustration and panic. So anyway, just it seems like there's been a lot of stressing of the adrenal glands because of stress and fear and and worry and people, a lot of people, they try to be, proactive. A lot of people are very good people. I saw a sign last Friday when I came home. I decided I wanted to see the fire devastation and damage from the fire last summer, because I had heard that one of the towns called Greenville was completely decimated. It's in ashes. And it takes me about another 2 hours to go what I call the Northwest Passage. Instead of going directly up Interstate 80, I went up through Chico, because I was in Chico, and I went up Highway 32 over to 36 and down to 89, which takes you back down south to the lake. But it's a long drive. It's a beautiful drive. It's one of my favorite drives. And hadn't been there in over a year. And I thought, well, I'm here. I know it's going to be at least another 2 hour longer drive, but I think I'd like to enjoy just being quiet and listening to a little bit of music. And sometimes you can't listen to music because there's no reception. So it's just nice and quiet. You just kind of listen to the numbing sound of the tires and the engine, and that's about it. And just looking at God's beautiful countrysides, it's beautiful. But sure enough, I got through up there, and when I started coming back down the other side, I saw all the fire devastation and blackened forest, blackened trees, swaths, these great swaths, burned out forest, really sad. But there was a sign that said something that I thought was very, very telling, and it said that calm seas do not make a skilled sailor. Calm seas do not make a skilled sailor. And the night before, a couple nights before, I had watched, I haven't been watching very many movies. I actually stopped watching my big screen TV. I just watch a little bit of YouTube on one of my little iPads. But one guy gave a very positive review of Master and Commander. And I remember seeing that, when it first came out on DVD, I think, or when it was available for streaming with Russell Crowe. And the guy gave such a positive review, and I said, well, I remember watching that movie. And I thought, well, what the heck, I could maybe watch that, even though it's on the small screen, I'll watch it. So I did. And I was intrigued by that movie. It was good as a second time around type movie. And I thought it was well done, well acted. But the thing that hit me was that these sailors, under the captainage of Captain Aubrey, played by Russell Crowe, how they dealt with catastrophes in the middle of that ocean, whether they were being attacked by the renegade pirate ship. Well, it wasn't a pirate ship, it was a French man of war that was trying to hunt them down and kill them. Or just the elements themselves. and how those sailors had to deal with adversity and calamity at the same time. I mean, in other words, a lot of times when we get into problems, we kind of get a little chance to take a little bit of a break and ascertain the situation, and say, well, I guess I made a mistake there. I need to fix that, you kind of like you regroup and you kind of say, well, I'll tend to that maybe now or later, whatever. There's a buffer of time where you can deal with it. But these guys, on the ship, especially when it's being either torn down by a storm or being battered by cannonballs, you got to start fixing the problem right then and there. You can't wait let's wait for a sunny day to work on this problem. No, the water's pouring in and you got to stop that leak right now, or you got to put that fire out right now, and sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not. But I like that saying, calm seas do not make a skilled sailor. And so a lot of times life, it's always how we respond. I know that's the key right there. And sometimes you can respond and you can dig down deep and you can find the resources that you need to get the job done, even if it's unpleasant or it's not fun, but you get it done. But then there are times that, it's like the old saying, some days you're the bug and some days you're the windshield, Some days you're the fire hydrant and some days you're the dog, And you can throw whatever you have at it and maybe you don't have enough to overcome. You don't have enough to be successful. And that's another story for another time, right? So, but anyway, I've been looking at all the stress that everybody's under. And it just seems like there's no sweet spot. There's no resting spot. As you're driving, when you do all these long drives like I've been doing, every now and then you'll see rest stop, 3 miles ahead, and there are no rest stops. It's just one continuous grinding, journey. And then sometimes you get weary. You just say, I'm done. I don't know how I'm going to go on. I mean, you go on, but there comes a point where you just say, I am just so tired. And I think that's where, it is. Now, again, in some ways, it's probably in keeping with Lent. You get to a point where, you're trying to do the best you can. And sometimes you don't succeed, I mean, I think the only thing that I've been able to keep my Lenten, I had a couple of Lenten resolutions that I was going to try to be good. One of them was, no meat and no cheese, dairy products for the time of Lent, no coffee. No big movies, and no treats, basically. Well, I haven't really been perfect at that, I'll be honest with you. And I was just talking to somebody else tonight, and they were kind of lamenting the fact that they're kind of ashamed, or at least they're upset at themselves because they didn't keep their Lenten regulations perfectly this year. And I said, well, and again, this is where the Protestant in me probably comes out and says, well, it doesn't help to be legalistic either, And again, that's not giving yourself a pass or free pass, but it does happen, like a couple of times. Now, one of the times I had, I did have a little bit of meat was, it was served to me by a brother priest, and a couple of weeks ago, and I looked at my plate and I said, well, he went to the trouble of making this. And my normal response is, oh, I can't eat that. And I've talked to some other friends, and we just kind of said, that's kind of rude. It's not the end of the world. This isn't like, I'm committing a sacrilege. But I've made a personal resolution not to do this. But at the same time, so I said, well, you know what, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to eat what's put before me, and I'm just not going to cause, because all you do is, I think you kind of make more problems for other people, because then other people get kind of self-conscious, like, oh, that's right, oh, you're not eating meat, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing, maybe I'm meat, and then it just sort of like, and I kind of resolved that. I said, well, hopefully he won't serve me anything that because I've basically been doing fish and eggs, And but he gave me some, I think it was barbecued beef on like shish kebab kind of thing, and it was good. I ate it, and I didn't ask for seconds, but I ate what was set before me. But then, because I did that, I kind of gave myself a little bit of permission on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, and then the last 2 years, I used to do this every year. I'd say, okay, for St. Patrick's Day, I'll give myself a little dispensation, and I'll have the corned beef and the cabbage. It's a tradition, And that's well. Anyway, the problem is that with corned beef and cabbage, I gotta have soda bread, and I'm not supposed to eat bread. Bread's not good for me. So, kind of got weak in the knees. We have a wonderful bakery right down the street, and they had this beautiful bread, and I just said, give me one of those. Now, I did eat the bread over a course of several days. That was the only bread that I think I've had during Lent. And like I said, I shouldn't eat bread, period. It's just not good for me. It gives me really bad indigestion, horrible heartburn. So it's just not something I can really tolerate. I don't think I have celiac disease, but I just don't, gluten and me just aren't good friends. We're just not. And I noticed that when I was doing this carnivore diet, which I'd been doing since I had COVID last September, that almost all of my digestion problems went away. A couple of weeks, I was fine. No more heartburn, no more indigestion, no more problems. Just like, okay, once I got on that carnivore diet, life was good. And I was like, man, this is really awesome. But during Lent, I do try to give up beef and dairy to the best of my ability. So I gave myself that one permission. And then the other thing is I also need to stay away from sweets. But again, the bakery has these beautiful, they're like works of art. I mean, I don't know if they put gold leaf on them or not, but they're just absolutely astounding. So on the the Annunciation, which is a great solemnity and kind of a non-day of fasting and abstinence, you can indulge a little bit and have some goodies. So I got a small little soccer tort and did enjoy that, but still, I didn't really keep to my resolution on those things. So I feel a little bit defeated, might be too strong of a word, but I do feel like I let myself down. I feel like, but at the same time, when you do that, then you feel kind of, you kind of feel discouraged. And when you're discouraged, that's not a good thing. So don't be discouraged, That's probably what this is more all about. It's just being a bit weary and discouraged, and it's almost like a long winter. It's like, okay, when's it going to be over? Now, fortunately, winter is rapidly receding right now. The snow is just every day. I think we lose about quarter of the previous day, so it's melting really fast. Today was, I think, up in the 60s up here in the mountains, and that's really warm for up here. And so, it's it was kind of interesting though. I noticed that this was strange, because I went down to the valley and it was like 88 degrees, 90 degrees. That's hot down there, and I didn't really notice it that much. I don't know why. I just don't know why. I don't know. It's kind of funny because I don't like heat. I don't like hot things. I like spicy things and food, but I don't like hot temperature. I mean, I can deal with it, and when I was in Chico, Chico was beastly hot. There's only one other place in California that gets worse, and it's called Redding, California. Anybody knows where Redding is and have ever lived there I spent a year there one day, so, Redding is a place you want to be leaving, okay? You want to see Redding in your rear view mirror, But Chico is second to Redding. It gets hot up there. And, in the military, you learn a couple things. Now, yeah, they say a bitchin' Marine's a happy Marine, and there's some truth to that. But there's kind of this unspoken thing. Don't bitch about the weather. Everybody knows it's hot or everybody knows it's cold, and it doesn't help for you to be obviously saying, oh, it's cold or it's hot. So people thought I love Chico. They go, you must really love it up here. I go, why? Well, you never complained about the heat. And I say, I don't like the heat, but you don't complain about it. I go, what good does it do? And they go, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Now, a lot of them older people, I guess I'm getting to be one of them now, they loved it because they said, man, when I came to Chico, all my aches and pains went away. Okay, and that's true. That's probably true. But anyway, so you don't complain about, at least I don't complain about the weather, you know. But I'm not a hot weather person. I mean, I guess can I adapt to it and do okay in it? Yeah, but do I like it? No. I mean, I think 37 degrees is warm up here. You know, people look at me and they go, you're not wearing a sweater or a coat? It's cold out here. And I go, it's 37 degrees for crying out loud. This is t-shirt weather in Minnesota. So anyway, so I noticed that I've got lots of other things now on my plate. I got to put together my Easter video. I did all of the videos for Lent. They weren't that great, but I got them knocked out, and you know I was happy that I did that. That's one less thing hanging over my head. But now it's showtime. The Palm Sunday's going to be this day after tomorrow, and then next Sunday's Easter. You know oops, not so say the A word during Lent. So anyway, but we're looking forward to Easter, Pascha, and so that'll be good. But there's just lots of things that are going on, a lot of turning wheels, a lot of irons in the fire that I'm trying to manage. And sometimes I do okay. Sometimes even at my age I do okay, but I need some extra little mnemonic helps. One thing I've learned to do now is I just write down little notes and I'll stick them on a door. If I got a package coming that's crucial, and or somebody's coming for an appointment, or I have to go do something at a certain time, I put little Post-it notes all over the house so I don't forget, because I do forget. It's just that I got lots of things on my mind, and I'm trying to focus on all these things, and sometimes I outsmart myself. I forget. One of the things about making these videos, I like making these videos, but I'm realizing that a lot of the things that I want to do in my video life here depend on having really a good computer, and my Mighty Mac iMac. And even my Mighty Mac Mac Pro that I got, 14 years ago, and even the 13-inch, Darth Vader Mac that I reassembled last year about this time. Those are good machines, but I'm finding that the higher like if I do a 4K video, I can only do it on my iMac Pro, because that's the only one that will take that. If I try to do it on any other machine, it just doesn't work. Now the iMac, the new M1 class Macs can take the 4K, but I got kind of the bargain basement iMac M1 class machines. So you can probably do one, maybe two you do one or two videos, and then you got to clear the cache. You got to clear your memory, because unfortunately, I wasn't thinking when I bought them. I think I got one with 500 gigabytes and one with 250, which is really not enough. You can make it work, but you have to do a lot of special stuff to get it to work. And then my iMac Pro, which is still running the Xeon class Intel processor, it does great things. That's probably the best machine next to my Mighty Mac Pro. That's probably the best machine Apple machine that I've ever had. It just does song and dance like you wouldn't believe. But now it's 3 years old. Actually, it's 6 years old. I got mine just 3 years ago when I first got here. They were still selling them. They don't sell those anymore. And anyway, now Apple's got this new Mac Studio which seems to be the latest and the greatest. But, again, 2 years ago they came out with the new Mighty Mac Pro that was like $6,000 for the machine, another $5,000, $6,000 for the monitor, and that was just the base. That was just the base one. Okay, if you want, you could get one for $50,000. And I said, wait a minute. I have been down this road how many times now? See, again, Apple does make great products, but unfortunately, and then they've done this several times, they will turn out one product only within 6 months to make it obsolete with a newer product. Yeah, when that Mac Pro came out, was there a little bit of a tinge of me wanting to get one of those? I gave it a fleeting thought, but I said, wait a minute. I know what's going to happen. They're going to make that machine obsolete in 2 years, and I just knew it. Because the first Mac I had, that lasted about 8 years. That had a long run. That was a long running machine. But eventually, the processing power just started to dwindle with all the other new stuff that was being expected of it. You couldn't run certain video codecs; it just wouldn't run. Good luck, So when I saw that new one come out 2 years ago, it was just pre-COVID too. Something deep down inside says, "Don't do it. Don't do it." Don't go and get yourself in all that debt just for that machine, because it's going to be obsolete. And sure enough, a year later, and this is what I think was, I wonder. I know that Apple is a business; they make money. That's their bottom line. But to sell now, again, some people say, "Well, that machine's still an awesome machine." Yeah, it's an awesome machine, but it's obsolete now. And they knew that the M1 class of chips were right around the corner. They knew that when they put that Intel Mac out there. And I knew that. I said, wait a minute, aren't they coming out with their new M1 class chips? That might not be a good investment. And sure enough, I've seen other YouTubers that are more professional in the video end of it. They don't make just, simple little videos like homily videos and pipe videos. They actually do tech reviews, and that's their bread and butter. So they know what they're talking about. And this guy, I think he spent $50,000 on that machine. Now, again, he's probably actually has a real business and makes money from that business, so he can probably afford to get that machine and pay it off within a few months, not like me. But still, even he said this new M1 class of Macs are comparable, if not better, than this, $50,000 machine for, a fraction of the price. So, but I kind of felt like, I'm so glad I did not take the bait on that one. Now, I'm looking at the new the M1 Max Studio. Probably going to get that eventually. Maybe not now, right now, but I am going to probably get that. But then again, the new, they're going to be introducing some new Macs in June, 2 months from now. Now, we could see a brand new iMac Pro. Now, they said they're not going to do the 27-inch. That's the one I have. I have that in the iMac Pro. But I'm just thinking that what happens if I went out and got the Studio? Because see, the problem with the Studio is it's not an all-in-one. It's like a little Mac Mini, but it looks like kind of looks like a Franken Mac. I call it Franken Mac because it's got the big forehead, kind of like. Anyway, what's that guy's name? I was just thinking about that guy, that Critical Drinker guy, and he was Neil Patrick. Yeah, Neil Patrick and his forehead. Yeah, the guy who played Doogie Howser, I guess it was, or Doctor. Anyway, big forehead guy. Anyways, but it looks kind of like that, and Frankenstein had the big forehead, so I call it the Franken Mac. Everybody calls these computers when they come out. They put a little nickname to them, like the 2013 Mac Pro. They called it the Trash Can Mac, and I can see why they call that. But when you take the sleeve off, it looks like Darth Vader. So I call it the Vader Mac, the Darth Vader Mac. And some people did too. They said, yeah, you can call it that. That makes sense. That makes sense. But most people, because they hated it, after a while, they called it the trash can bag because they weren't calling it, but mostly on its looks, but on its performance. So anyway, I know I go too long on my Apple product thing, but I mean, it's important to me. And, you know, that's how I make these videos, you know. And I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. I love plugins. Let's be honest. I love plugins. You know, all these plugins. They just do fun things and make the videos more entertaining. So anyway, it's more fun than a sailor on shore leave. Yes, sir. Okay. So, let's see. I do have one little rant today. By the way, if you're not watching Viva Fry, you don't know what you're missing. So my rant today will simply be this, and I'll close with this. Like I said earlier, I've been driving a lot the last week. I like driving. I do not detest driving, although if I drive for long periods of time without brakes, my back gets fatigued and it gets sore and achy. That's because I'm old. But the one thing that I absolutely find so infuriating are truckers when you're going down the highway, freeway, and you're in the fast lane, and maybe it's a 2-lane road, and you've got these two semis, and now one of them, for some crazy reason, decides he wants to pass another semi. And what does he do? He gets in that fast lane and slows all the other cars way down just so he can pass at a snail's pace another semi. Hey, I got no problems. I appreciate truckers. You know, they say if you bought it, a truck brought it. You know, God bless our truckers. But I don't like is when they are just like, they're trying to be like a car. They're not a car. You are an 18-wheel semi, okay? Now, if there's no traffic coming and you can cross over and pass this other slower truck, God love you. But when you just say, oh, I'm going to pull over, and you know you got like 10 cars behind you, and all of a sudden now you're like trying to pass at a snail's pace another truck. Boy, that infuriates me. You know, it's like when you're driving in that fast lane, and now all of a sudden a semi gets in there, and now it slows everything down. You know, if there's 3 lanes and they want to do that, that's okay. You know, that's fine, because I'll get over in that fast lane and I'll pass all of them by. But when you can't pass them by, when they clog the lanes with their stupid, I'm going to pass this other truck. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, now it's just like, it's just very, very aggravating. And it just really, really torques me off. And if you're a trucker, I have nothing against you. Again, I'm grateful for the things that you do, but please stop and think about what you're doing. Why do you slow down traffic to just pass another semi? You're both going pretty much the same speed. Yeah, obviously you're going to go just a wee bit faster, but again, it's like a snail race, you know? You know, come on, guys. You know, make sure that, the lane is clear and you're not going to be clogging up traffic when you do that. Because, seriously, there are people, I don't know if there's been accidents because of this, but I don't remember ever, this is just something that seems like it's a recent phenomenon, but I don't even remember truckers ever doing that. I mean, maybe they did, in the early morning hours they'd pass each other when there was no traffic out there. Maybe that's when they did it. But for years, I never noticed them doing that because it was like, hey, you're going to slow down that fast lane. You're going to block that lane. You don't want to do that. Not anymore. It's like, hey, I'm going to get in that lane. I don't care who's behind me. If you're a trucker, try to be. It's courtesy. I think it's kind of a courtesy thing. Again, if the lane's open and if you can pass the other guy, more power to you. But don't slow the lane down. Don't block the lane. I mean, I had that happen like 5 or 6 times at least coming back, and it's just. You have to slow down and you got to wait and you got to get the truck to pass. And then sometimes what they'll do is they'll go, well, I'm not going to pass just one semi. I'm going to pass 2. It's like, oh, brother. It's rude. It's just plain rude. And it's probably also very unsafe in many ways, because if a person is in that fast lane and they're going maybe 78 miles an hour, maybe a little bit faster, and all of a sudden a semi just says, he decides to just get over, and if that guy doesn't see you, I mean, boom, he could rear end that guy. Of course, it wouldn't be good for the guy being rear ending the truck, but probably wouldn't do the truck much harm. But still, it's just not it's a very I don't know why they're starting to do this more and more and more and more. It's like the guy kind of looks at his 18-wheeler as like a family sedan, or family, SUV. You're not in an SUV. You're not moving fast enough. You need to just wait your turn and then go over. Be like anybody else, like, well, I'm going to just pull over, and this guy that's going, 70 miles an hour, and I'm going to go 55, but I want to pass this other guy that's going 45. You might want to wait, Oh, man, it's just so aggravating. But that's my rant for tonight. So hopefully maybe some of you can relate. So, again, I don't mean to be ragging on good truckers. So just thought I'd take a break tonight and just say thanks for all watching. Light up your world and light up your pipe. And hopefully, if I don't come back here before Easter, have a happy Easter, most blessed Pascha, and we'll see you in the next one. So God bless. Take care.